Hi class, this is business statistics and we're going to be going over the first case study, Boys of Summer. Some of you might be a little bit scared or intimidated in taking business statistics. Please don't. I'm here. I'm going to help you, walk you through this 8-week journey as we get to learn business statistics. And so let's get started with our Boys of Summer case study in week 1. All right, so the debate between the National League and American League for baseball, who's got the better players? Does the American League, does the National League have better players? Let's look at this and find some statistics on the batting champion, batting average for all the time that has been in the past of the leagues. Now, one of the things that you'll learn is that the National League is started in 1876, and the American League started in 1901. So there's a little bit difference there. It's not going to make a difference for us, just how we did the charts. So if you haven't downloaded this file that I posted onto the announcement where you found the video, please download it, pause the video, download it, open it up with me as I walk you through this case study. Okay, so let's go to File and Options, and let's go ahead and click Add-ins and click Analyzing Toolpack and push OK. And what we're going to do is we're going to add the different tool pack that we're going to use throughout the class, and you'll be using this tool pack also in your quantitative business methods class as well. So here is our data that we want to go to, and we want to go to data analysis, and we want to do descriptive statistics. Now, descriptive statistics is collecting data, organizing data, summarizing data, so that we can make valid conclusions and meaningful predictions. Now, the two things here is that what we want to do is to collect data, organize data, summarize data, to let us do valid conclusions and make meaningful predictions. This is very important in business because we need to make sure that we're making good decisions, and we also need to make sure that we have meaningful forecasts or predictions for things that we're going to be doing in the future. So let's go ahead and click on this descriptive statistics. A box will appear and it'll have an input range. Yours should be blank because it's brand new for you. Shouldn't have done it. If you go ahead and push national all the way down and go ahead and just click on summarizing statistics, I click the label because at the top of it I push the National League, and all we need is the summary statistics, and I want this to come out at E2 right here. It's where I want it to come and tell me all the differences of it, and as you can tell, it came out, has our title in there, our label of national in there. I'm just going to go ahead and make a little bit different there and see that we have our mean, which is our average. Our average here is 0.35. Helps us. Our medium, our mode, standard deviation. These really don't matter until we get to our mini and max. These will matter later, and that is telling us that our mini and our max is the lowest that someone's ever batted was 0.313, and the highest was 0.438. Well, question 1 isn't asking us to do descriptive statistics, it's asking us to do a graph or different types of graphs to help us understanding them. But this does have a better, helps us get our question 2 done, and it also lets us see if there is a summarizing your comparison of the two baseball leagues. So I would like you to do that on your own for American League. So if you watch my video, rewind it a little bit, you can go ahead and do that through American League, how you did that descriptive statistics. All right, so in the National League, one of the things that I need to do is to do a graph, because that's what the question's asking us to do, and the graph that they want us to do is a histogram, and this is a diagram consisting of rectangles whose area is proportionally to the frequency of variables and which is width is equal to the class bins. And so, which is pretty cool, is that I'm pretty stoked about this and happy, is that Microsoft decided to add a histogram chart, finally. After a very long time, they hadn't had this. This is the first time they've had it, and it's pretty cool. So if you go ahead and you just click here, and you just click Control A. Oops, I clicked all my data. I'll just drag it down. Don't want to make mistakes on the video. If you look here and you go to the histogram, there we go. Done. Perfect. And we'll put that right next to it so it looks nice next to it. I'm going to just change the chart title name to National League. And you'll see here is that we'll click off of this right now. You don't need to do this. You'll see that the National League has these different bins, and these are the batting average, and this is the sum of people that have batted within these batting averages. So the majority of people batted at .331 and .349, whereas over 35, and then it goes down, steps down. Now, you will do this too for the American League as well. And the histogram is a really good understanding. It's a graphical way of looking at these numbers to see that the majority of people are batting within, I would say, .331 to .385. And just by looking at that in the National League, and we can look at this and say that the minimum was .313. Yep. Great job. We were good with our numbers, and the max right here was at .438. This one just added a little bit of a point there. It doesn't really matter, so we're good. So go ahead and do this for the American League. You could pause the video, rewind it, walk you through how I did on the National League. All right, so one of the things that I did when I changed this was that I decided to put them next to each other. Instead of using ones and zeros, I used National and American League. Well, the National League started way before the American League, and so they broke out, and then we had the World Series. And so one of the next questions is that is there any outliers? Outliers are things that are just not there, that are way outside the norm. So if someone did something that was crazy, 1994, Tony Gwynn batted, I remember this because I was a kid, batted 394, and this was a huge number. I just remember that. And so that might be an outlier for modern day baseball, because we're going way back. We're looking at it back in 1876. So if we're just looking at the modern day baseball, that might be an outlier because it's so far out there. But we did have some other high batting averages. So let's go ahead and let's look here and see how we have, if we have any outliers in here. And the best way to do that is to go back into our insert. And another cool thing that they did was that we're going to highlight National and American League, and we're going to go all the way down to 2006, and then we're going to click back here. And another thing that they added was a box and whiskers. Well, box and whiskers is also known as a box plots, which we'll show you in a second. So let's go ahead and change that. I'm going to just get rid of this because we don't need that one there. And then I'm going to click on these. And clicking on that, this comes up as our format axis. And if you see it's at 0, we really don't need that. So I'm going to put it at 2.9. Okay. And this shows us a little bit in differences, a comparison chart between the two. But it also tells us, so this helps us with question 3 and 4, and that it summarizes our comparison to 2 baseball leagues. And then here on the National League, we have 3 outliers. And when we're looking at these outliers, what we're trying to figure out is, what do they mean? What happens here when we have one. And understanding that 3 is an important, it's understanding that it's important to understand that it's a measure that indicates that there could be some type of error in the data. So 3 of them were just really above average here within that time frame. And so when we're looking here at this box of whiskers or box plot, what we're looking at here is that here is our upper whisker, okay, our lower whisker, our upper quartile, our middle, it's right here. You can see it's just a little bit below the American League. The orange is the American League. The reason it is, and you can add that, is because it's the second one, how we categorize the data, how we organized it. And then we have our quartile group 2, and then here as 1, and they add up to our 100% that's in there. It's really good to understand this. So we did have 3 outliers, and those outliers are just telling us different ways of understanding that there's a point for distance in there that is due to variability in the measurement, and it may indicate error, and sometimes it should be excluded from the data set. And if we exclude those from the data set, we'll find out that the National League and the American League are pretty similar. There's no real difference between the two. So sorry, we have to continue to have that debate between which league is better, the National League or American League. All right, so a couple things to summarize this. In this, we want to make sure that we are doing an APA formatted paper. We're including these charts in there. Another thing is to make sure that we answer all 4 questions and we have appropriate APA headers in that paper. So question 1, question 2, question 3, and question 4 with headers. So a great one would be graphs to interpret data sets should be the first header. The second header that would be good is league comparison, and so that you can look at the 2 different leagues looking at the descriptive statistics. The third header should be outliers, and then we should then the summarization of the 2 leagues. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. I'm always here to help.